On a quiet suburban evening, Sam, a kind-hearted man with a warm smile, took out the trash. The cool breeze rustled the leaves, and the sky was a canvas of fading twilight. As he closed the lid of the trash can, he heard a voice call out, "Sam! Oh, Sam! Can you help me with something?" It was Mrs. Thompson, his elderly neighbor. She stood at the edge of her driveway, waving urgently. Sam had always been the helpful sort, and Mrs. Thompson had lived next door for years. Without a second thought, he walked over. "Sure, Mrs. Thompson. What do you need?" Sam asked, flashing his friendly smile. "I need help moving some furniture in the basement. My son was supposed to do it, but he hasn't been able to come by," she explained, her eyes darting around nervously. "Of course, happy to help," Sam replied, following her into the house. As they descended into the dimly lit basement, an uneasy feeling crept over Sam. The air was musty, and the light flickered ominously. He brushed off his apprehension, attributing it to his imagination. They reached the bottom, and Mrs. Thompson pointed to an old heavy dresser against the far wall. "That one, dear, just needed moved a bit," she said, her voice oddly strained. Sam approached the dresser and began to push. Suddenly, he felt a sharp on his neck. He spun around, but his vision blurred and his legs gave way. The last thing he saw was Mrs. Thompson standing over him, holding an empty syringe, her kind face twisted into a grotesque mask of malice. When Sam awoke, he was bound to a chair in a dimly lit room, the basement door firmly shut. Panic surged through him as he struggled against the ropes. Mrs. Thompson stood before him, her demeanor completely changed. Gone was the frail old lady. In her place was someone cold and calculating. "I'm sorry, Sam," she said, her voice devoid of emotion. "But I needed someone. You're just the right size." "Why are you doing this?" Sam croaked, fear gripping his heart. She smiled, a chilling sight. "For years, I've been alone, and I've found that people can be useful. You're going to help me with my experiments." Before he could respond, she pressed a cloth to his face, and darkness enveloped him once more. Days turned into weeks. Sam's disappearance was a mystery to his wife and neighbors. Search parties combed the area, but there was no trace of him. Mrs. Thompson continued her life as usual, her secret hidden behind the facade of a kind old lady. In the darkness of the basement, Sam's screams were muffled by the thick walls. His kind heart and helpful nature had led him into a nightmare from which he could not escape, trapped by the very neighbor he had trusted.